Hey guys, this is EckhartsLadder. Hello and welcome to another video. Just a reminder, I've upped the video rate for December, so if you feel like you want more content, check my YouTube page. I almost guarantee there's an upload that you've missed. Additionally, if you want even more content, consider following me on Twitter, which I'll link down below, and checking out my second channel, Eck2. I've been uploading there almost daily as well, and been doing the occasional live stream, mostly Empire at War. Anyway, on to today's video. The Yuuzhan Vong invaded the galaxy in 25 ABY, and in a 4-year war killed hundreds of trillions of beings, including of course Chewbacca, while also devastating the Star Wars galaxy. The question we'll be talking about today is why? We know the Yuuzhan Vong were a highly fanatic and warlike species, so that explains the why somewhat, but what caused them to invade? The new Jedi Order tells us that this wasn't just a small portion of the Yuuzhan Vong civilization, rather the entire race traveled the intergalactic void in massive warships for thousands of years, having abandoned their ancestral galaxy. The intro for the series actually gives us our first little hint, and that is, long ago a devastating war destroyed much of the Yuuzhan Vong's galaxy and cut them off from the Force, sending their clans across the intergalactic void in search of a new home. Now, they are at the edge of the Star Wars galaxy, ready to invade. That is, unsurprisingly, a very simplistic representation of what actually happened. Today, I'll share with you guys some additional details. Unfortunately, what I can't give you is exact time frames, how long exactly the Yuuzhan Vong left, how long they were traveling, etc. Trader, for example, calls the time period incalculable millennia. And similarly, the new Jedi Order sourcebook describes the Vong's history as being lost to time, though also mentions thousands upon thousands of years of conflict. It's actually the essential chronology which will provide us with our first look at the history in a broad sense. I'll summarize. Originally, the Yuuzhan Vong faced hordes of ancient mechanical enemies, and we'll touch on them later, but essentially, that war drove their hatred of machines and also made them very aggressive and warlike as a species when they weren't already. Their war against the machines also started their fanaticism as they turned to organic technologies and also the gods which they believed powered that. However, the war wiped out not only the two droid races which were fighting, but also most of the galaxy's other sentient beings, with some minor exceptions like the Chazrak, who served as the Vong's frontline warrior. Subsequently, we get a major event in Yuuzhan Vong history, which is the Cremlevian War, an intra-species conflict, which saw even more destruction across the galaxy as the Yuuzhan Vong, now again one of the only remaining species, killed each other on a massive scale. As we learn in Vector Prime, this is where, for example, the devastating Yogon's core technique was developed. Here's a quote from Vector Prime. Yogond was a legendary general among the Yuuzhan Vong, the one most often given credit for turning the tide in the Cremlevian War and thus uniting the various Yuuzhan Vong tribes in generations lost past. His core tactic had proven a decisive blow in that long ago conflict, destroying Yigzar, the home planet of the most powerful tribe, and killing nearly all of the obstinate leaders in one fell swoop. And for those wondering, the Yogon's core technique is basically what killed Chewbacca. A Dovin Basil, which can manipulate gravity, is placed on a planet. It then grabs a moon or other stellar body and pulls it to the surface, causing massive destruction. The essential chronology builds on this description, stating that during and after the conflict, the Vong's warrior society even further became more aggressively religiously fanatic. Then, finally, over thousands of years of minor conflicts, they bled their galaxy dry, were forced to create a fleet of world ships which they could use to travel the intergalactic void, looking for a galaxy to inherit. The Vong's actions and their violence resulted in them being cut off from the Force. The unifying force tells us that when the Vong's original homeworld of Yuuzhan was destroyed during the Cremlevian War, the species was stripped of its connection with the Force. Now I understand that the acts of the far outsiders may have been nothing more than a reawakening of the evil my parent experienced when its symbionts used its creations not merely to defend Yuuzhan, but to launch an era of bloodshed that resulted in the death of countless worlds, among with many latent planetary consciousnesses. But I did not pursue those stirrings, those suspicions, until Zenoma became lost in the unknown regions, and, through Nenyem and Harar, I comprehended that the Yuuzhan Vong had been stripped of the Force. my most grave misgivings were confirmed when I learned of the bioweapon that was being hurled at Sonoma. That quote specifically is also from the Unifying Force and talks about the severing of the connection between Yuuzhan Tar and the Yuuzhan Vong and why they lost connection to the Force. But to summarize at this point, there was a massive war between droid civilizations, with the Yuuzhan Vong caught in the middle. They did eventually win, but they also went on to become evil and genocide their galaxy. Following that was the Cremlevian War, a Vong civil war, which saw unparalleled destruction, including many planets like Yuuzhan Tar, then finally further years of civil war and conflict such that the Vong destroyed most of their galaxy's resources and were forced to leave. So we have covered most of that, but I do want to loop back and talk about the original war which spurred the Yuuzhan Vong into aggression. That's only alluded to a little bit in the New Jedi Order and other source books, but is fleshed out pretty significantly in the new Essential Guide to Droids. According to the Great Heap page, the Great Heap was an Abominor, an ancient and evil droid species, which was malevolent, self-constructing, and from another galaxy. The endnotes to this book confirm that the other galaxy is the Vong, and that the species about to be mentioned too is the Yuuzhan Vong. The Abominor consumed everything, continually growing in size, sometimes even dwarfing planets. They exterminated species across the galaxy while feeding, and eventually fought a war against the Silentium. This war devastated the galaxy until the Vong defeated both. The Silentium were a much more peaceful race, and unlike the Abominor, were dedicated to order. They didn't seem to be outright aggressive, but contributed to the galaxy-wide destruction caused by the war. Interestingly, both the Silentium and the Abominor too fled their galaxy and showed up in the Star Wars galaxy, so I'm kind of curious if, besides for the Chazrak and the Vong, whether other species could have made their way there that we just don't realize are from another galaxy. But that's all I have for today's video. The Yuuzhan Vong have a very dark history, and their galaxy now is very, very dead. It's unlikely that even the thousands of years the Vong spent traveling the intergalactic void was long enough for the galaxy to recover, if such a thing would even be possible. But that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this video about the Yuuzhan Vong. I am going to skip the hashtag AskEck question of the day. I'll try to bring it back next video, but until then, have a great day, and may the Force be with you.